Okay, sorry about that. So apparently my husband left his locker lock here at home. He went to the gym. It's, as I said, Tuesday. But he had to take my car because we haven't completely unpacked from camping yet. So I was like, just take my car, don't worry about it. And then he left some stuff. That's what happens. So then yesterday, I actually worked a little bit on my cross stitch. So I figured I haven't shown that in a while, and I actually have it on a reasonable hoop for showing it. And that is what happened. Okay. I was like, why did I have a needle? I was getting ready for bed, and there was a needle laying on the bed, and it's because it was on this strand, and I didn't secure it with my needle minder, which is what they're there for. So anyway, mystery solved. So I did just a little bit of detail work. I think I outlined a crust and did this little weight up at the top. I've been doing some of the white because I don't know, the white just isn't as thrilling, but it is necessary for this particular design. Has a lot of white on it. So this is the Sweet S Pie stitch along. It was a mystery stitch along from last year by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Eventually, I would like this to hang in my kitchen, but obviously it's taken me longer than a year to do, just because I have a lot of other crafts that I do. Cross stitch is not one that I can spend a ton of time doing because it is more labor intensive. I think that you have to get your supplies out, you have to have your chart out. I need to be uninterrupted, and this is like a little child magnet. Joshua loves cross stitch, and whenever I get it out, he wants to do it. I don't mind letting him help me. I will let him I'll direct the needle, and then he'll pull it through, and then I'll direct the needle and he'll pull it through. So we keep doing that, but you can imagine that the stitches take about 10 times as long to do, and often he will ask me to do it when he has like berry stained hands, food covered hands, etc. And I don't want him to stain my design because it's taken me a lot of time to do. So then I have to fight with him about washing his hands. He doesn't want to. Then he's like, forget about it, or it's a whole thing. So anyway, here it is. So last year, one slice of pie was revealed each month. The first month was the crust border, which I've done little parts of just to orient myself with the rest of the design. But I actually started with the little thing that they're sitting on. And I didn't finish over here for whatever reason. I don't know why I didn't finish that, but it has one more scallop there to do. And then this one has a couple more scallops to do. I probably got tired of it because it was just pink and doing the same thing over and over again. So I've done a couple of their little anthropomorphized pie slices. So I have done the eyes on this one and this one and this one. This one has the eyes and the cheeks, but you can't really see it very well because it's really dark. This one has like light blue eyes. And then so last night I did this outline of the crust, and down the side I did this little bit here, which this is going to be a kitchen scale. And I think I did, I did some white here for this pie. That's pretty much it. And I was working on it for a while. So I am not a very fast stitcher. It takes a lot of time, but I think it will be cute. I will probably put it in a circular frame because I think that'd be really sweet. So it'll get done eventually, but that is the Sweetest Pie by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. And they do sell kits on their website. And I'll put a link in the show notes. But it's on this sparkly linen fabric, which is hand-dyed by Picture This Plus. I think the kit was like $50-ish or something like that, but it's totally worth it when you add up all of the flosses. And there are a couple hand-dyed flosses in this. So the crust, the blue, this yellow, and the green are hand-dyed, and then all the rest of them are regular DMC colors. But once you add all of those colors together, you get the chart as part of the kit, you get the fabric as part of the kit, and a package of needles. So it's pretty much everything you need other than a hoop or frame to be able to stitch. So I think it's a really reasonable deal. I'm untightening it as I'm putting it in here. This bag is just a little bit too small for this full-sized Q-snap, but I really like the full-size Q-snap at this point for this design. I was using a smaller one. This bag is one that Autumn sewed for me, and my regular Q-snap will fit in here. The large one really doesn't. And this is a little pouch that Kristen made at some point for me as a gift. But I love the fabric because it's like paint by numbers fabric. And then I have on it a little s'mores donut progress keeper that she gave me, but I really liked it as a little zipper pull. And then I get to enjoy it when I do cross stitch. That's that. And then the last thing I worked on, was my blanket. And this is the Northeasterly blanket by Skeinianigans. That's why I felt like I was unraveling something, because I was. Give me 1 second here. I knew that felt like the feeling of ripping stitches. The good thing is it's really not that many stitches, so even if you do what I just did, it's not that much progress that's being lost. Oh my god. It's really twisted because I kind of just shoved it in the bag. Okay. So since last time I showed it, I did add on that fun glittery orange skein. So that's this one. So I've completely knit that through that. And I think it transitions pretty well from this pumpkin spice by No Makers. I don't know what this one is. It was a mystery, just from a swap. I cut the yellow, that this is Adelaide Cottage. So I think I was here. So this is a little bit of Nomi of the Lake left over from a shawl that I knit in the past. This is Easter Grass, also from No Makers. This is her Party Gnome base. So I used the whole mini skein I had there. Her minis were pretty big. And then this one is another mystery skein that I got in a swap, but it was just a little nugget of yarn. It just seems to keep going though, despite being a little nugget. There's what I have left of it. I don't know why, but this reminds me of like spearminty colors. I keep thinking of it as a spearmint colorway. I really like it though. It's very pretty. And it transitioned well from the Easter grass up into that. So I kind of decided I was going to go ahead and finish the green. So this is how long I need to knit it to stretch across our bed, like I showed last time. So I just have that much more to knit of the green, and then I'll be able to really complete this yellow stripe without worrying about, okay, I'm doing yellow, but now I have to stop and do some more green. I was like, just suck it up and knit the rest of the green. And I think it'll be more stable having 2 full strips to work from. And then I can, keep going across the rainbow. So, and I'm really undecided on what I want to do next from an orange perspective. So I have a lot of oranges, but they're all semi-solids. So I didn't know how that would look to have a very semi-solid stripe right next to an extremely variegated stripe. Maybe it would be good, but maybe it would be I don't know, very jarring. So I'm just trying to decide on that. Otherwise, the ones that have orange in them, I don't actually have a ton of orange in. So like this would be an option, but I think this favors the maroons and pinks a lot more than orange. There's barely any at all in there. So anyway, I have to decide what I want to do with that. So I thought in the interim, I would finish out the green stripe. So anyway, Northeasterly, a pattern by Skinanigans. I'm knitting mine on a size 2.75 mil needle, and I'm using the fingering weight option. There's a fingering and a DK weight option. Okay, so that is all of my knitting whips. And then I have a few sewing whips. I actually did finish the Scientist material skirt for Megwin, but she's worn it, so it's dirty somewhere in her laundry. But I thought I would show her dress that she sewed, and I have to fix it. So she took a class on how to sew a knitted dress, which she's super proud of this, and I am super proud that she made a wearable garment. I can tell that it's a first garment, but that's awesome. She made one, and that's great. The one thing I would say is that the instructor had her use all straight seams, even though it's knit fabric. So if you don't know from sewing, or if you don't know about sewing, if you sew a knit garment with a straight traditional seam on a normal sewing machine, there's not a lot of stretch in a straight stitch. So it doesn't allow the t-shirt material to stretch. In some cases you want that because like on a neckline, for example, you don't want it to stretch out of shape. So on the neck, it might be a good idea to do a straight stitch. And they actually used almost like a swimwear fabric around the edges of the armholes. So the armholes are sewed with a straight stitch and the neck's sewed with a straight stitch. No problem there. But all of the seams are sewed with a straight stitch. And traditionally what you would do is you would use a zigzag on the side seams so that it has room to expand. Because if you think about it, like you're putting more thread into the same inch as if you went straight. Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. It's going to not be very much thread. But if you go zigzaggy, you've added a lot of thread to that same amount of space so it can stretch and still maintain that seam. So long story short, as she was wearing it, she popped one of the side seams. So this is completely open. They fully lined the top part, not the skirt. But the way that they constructed it is they sewed all of this top portion first and then attached the skirt, and it has a circle skirt on it. She picked out this fabric and I think it's really cool. So it has this cool circle skirt, and she actually didn't hem it, which I might teach her how to hem because that could make this last a little bit longer. Sorry, there's places where there's food on it. She was wearing it and that seam popped, so she just took it off. I need to launder it. So I think I'm going to have to take this. There's two ways I could fix it. One way is I could rip the inside seam on this side, pull this seam to the inside, zigzag it, and then it would have a seam on the inside for me to re-sew this. Or I can rip off the skirt and go back and fix both side seams with a zigzag stitch and then reattach the skirt. I hate to undo her stuff because, you know, it's her first sewed garment and I'm so proud of her. But I know that the other seams, it's just a matter of time before they pop too. So I think I am going to actually take the skirt off and redo the bodice and sew the skirt back on. I don't want to make her do it. I know that some people will probably say that I should have her fix it. But with this being her first garment, I don't want her to be discouraged that the person who taught her actually gave her poor advice. I just want her to feel good about it. And so I'm going to help her out because I hate seam ripping. And yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So I'm going to fix it for her. And then she'll have her dress back to wear and be proud of. And then, you know, next time she sews her next thing, I'll teach her how to use the zigzag stitch for a new garment. And then, yeah, we can go from there. But I think I should be able to pretty easily fix it with minimal effort. And I'm really proud of her for making this super cute dress. It's super cute. It's really cool. And it looks so cute on her too. So anyway, that's Megwin's FO. I am working on another sundress for her. She has one of these already that I made out of the piggy fabric. So this one is a very nice seersucker. And it is the Playday frock from One Yard Wonders book. So it has pockets on the front. And I actually tried to match the polka dots. I think I did pretty well with maintaining the pattern. This pocket was a little different from where I cut it, so I couldn't quite keep the dots going, but they kind of blend in, right? Hard to see them, but they're right there. This one's better than this one. So anyway, I've completed sewing the body, and it has like little ruffle sleeves that you put on, and then they integrate into the neckline, so they kind of go like this, and then you put elastic all the way around, so there is an elastic around the neckline and into those sleeves, and those sleeves kind of puff up like little ruffles. So she loves her first one. She's very excited for me to do a second one. So I just need to pin this on, sew it, sew a little elastic casing, throw it in there. And I have to put, they used bias tape to face the armholes. So I had to go get white bias tape. I just figured white was better. They did have this orange color, but I was like, when am I ever going to use that again? I need to just buy white because that'll be better. And it'll be fine to have a little white contrast on the armholes. So that's one thing. I have a pair of shorts cut out, Lander shorts for me. I need to sew a couple more pairs of shorts for Megwin. Her test pair went pretty well. I think I need to add just a little bit of length to them to make them acceptable for school. They have the fingertip rule where if you stand up and put your arms at your sides, they have to be lower than your fingertip, and they're right at her fingertip. So if she grows at all, they will not be acceptable for school. So I'm going to make them a little bit longer. The last thing I did is I cut out a dress for me out of this jersey fabric. So it's just a really basic dress. It's got an elastic along the neckline with a little keyhole cut out, and you know, short sleeves, and it has pockets. So it has pockets and a little bit of an A-line skirt shape. But it's really basic. The pockets were actually a surprise. I didn't realize it had them. And then I was laying out the fabric to cut it, and I was like, what is this weird piece? Oh, it's pockets. Sweet. So I do want to sew on that today. I thought I didn't have interfacing because you have to put interfacing on the little piece of fabric you put here to then cut into for the little neckline thing. But I found some. I found a little scrap. I only needed like a little U, probably like that big. So I have plenty. I'm not going to drive out to get interfacing just for that. Yep. So that is everything I've been working on. A little bit of all my crafts, which is fun. I'm glad that I'm dabbling back into some of my other crafts. And yeah. So in terms of purchases, I have my shirt that I showed. So this is from Nerdbird Makery, which was one of the companies I knew about previously because I had seen the bags. She does some bags with this same print of the Nevertheless She Knitted. They're like canvas. The most recent ones she did are canvas with a really cool bottom on them, and they're tote. But she also has some other bags as well. She does enamel pins and really cool t-shirts too. So she's in the Bay Area, I believe. And she has an Etsy shop. Etsy shop? No, it's not. I think it's just nerdbirdmakery.com, but I will put a link in the show notes so that you can go and check it out. And so I'll stand up one more time. I like that this one is a V-neck. It's really soft material. And the sizing is a little bit small, but the size chart is accurate. So I went ahead and ordered based on the size chart. So I think this one is a large and this other one is a medium. But this design is one that I had been trying to stock her shop for a while because she's constantly out of this in the mauve colorway. I will bring it closer so you can see. So it is a ball jar full of balls of yarn with a lot of different fiber tools, and it says baller on it. And I love it. It reminds me of when Josh and I first met. In the Bay Area, he would say that something was baller, and I didn't know what that meant, so he had to explain it to me. So this shirt has a lot of fun meaning for many different reasons, but I really like it, and I'm glad that I finally scored one in the pink because I did really want one in this color. She also has it in gray, so she has it on ladies' tees or just standard sizing. She also has a wide neck sweatshirt for it too, which I might get later, but I wanted something to wear now. Because I don't have a lot of t-shirts, but I do mostly wear t-shirts on the weekends for comfort reasons. And so I wanted a couple more fun t-shirts that were knitting themed because I didn't have any. So now I do have some. So anyway, those are my two shirts from Nerdbird Makery, and they are awesome. They're very soft and nice. And then the last thing I have is Kristen was doing a D-stash that she posted on Instagram and then she put up in her shop, and it was just mystery skeins, so you could buy, you know, however many you wanted, and you didn't know what base you were going to get or what colorway you were going to get. But they were $15 a skein, and that is a steal for her yarn. And I knew that they would be beautiful. So they were from her personal stash, just stuff that she wasn't going to get to for knitting. And I haven't taken it out of the bag yet, so I haven't actually looked at these skeins very closely. So one of them that I got is the Edinburgh colorway, which is amazing because I never scored this one when she was dyeing it, but I wanted it. So this is on her Volca base. It's really pretty in person. It would look really nice with a gray. Yeah, I have some leftover weep, so I might try to do something with this and weep. That would be fun. So that was my first one. I got 4 skeins total. The second one is Solstice on her Blitzed base. And this is awesome because I actually had a sweater in mind where I was going to stripe this with the Raining Lorelei from the Yarn at Home Mom. And I only had 1 skein, so I was worried I was going to really be stretching it, but now I have 2. Mine was also unblitzed. So it's a warm neutral, I would say. It's got some lavendery and taupe undertones and cream, and then some speckles, but it's very neutral. And then I got a skein of Smitten DK in Dragon Tears, which is also another colorway I didn't have. So now I do. And since it's DK weight, I might make this into a hat. That would be a really nice DK weight hat. And the last one is also a Volca skein. And this is a strange brew, and it's called Wild Unknown. This kind of makes me think of one that I have in my stash already called Geode. It was a strange brew, but it was the Strange Brew Yarn Club. So like she didn't just dye one of it. She dyed it for the club and then never again. It's got some like spring greens, a lot more of this spring green. So I would say the base is spring green, and it might look really good with this, like as a fade. I should just go over and get it. Sorry for all the getting up this episode. This was very impromptu, as my podcasts are nowadays. But hey, I remember my stash, people. I know what's in my stash. Look at that. So this is Geode. And this is the Strange Unknown. Yeah, those would totally fade very nicely between each other. So yeah, it's got a lot of those same elements, but this one has a lot more of that springy green, and it brings this like robin's egg blue into the mix, and it's got a bright pink. But yes, they would definitely fade nicely together. So if I got one more that was a very speckly, creamy base, I could do a fade sweater. I'm gonna have to have a think about that. But I feel like I've got another one that would fit the bill with that. Maybe it's in the bin of Wollonvine. I feel like it's one of her older colorways that would go with this. But it's a darker version of this one. Okay. Well, maybe next time I will have those all together to show you. But that was the other one I got. So got 4 of those skeins. Look at that down. So the camping trip. We went to Black Rock State Park in Connecticut, and we had been there before, but we were kind of debating whether or not we were going to go. We knew it was going to be hot, but we've camped when it's hot before. So we eventually ended up deciding, yes, we would go. We got ready, we went. We left a little bit later than we expected to because we hadn't been doing the normal pre-packing that we would do the day before, since we were unsure if we were going or not. So we're driving, and on the way, we're almost there, like probably 3 or 4 miles away. And there was a popping sound. And I said, "Did you hear that popping sound?" And then like 30 seconds later, tire pressure light goes on. So we got a flat tire. So we pulled over to the side of the road. Josh looked at it and he's like, "Yeah, it's flat." And luckily we were right at an exit ramp. So I said, "Well, let's just get off the highway at the exit ramp, just drive on the flat and get to the gas station that was right there." So we were able to do that because I didn't want him changing the tire on the side of the road because we were packed for camping. So our entire back portion is full of stuff. The spare tire is under all of that stuff. So we got to the gas station. We unpacked the entire trunk, got the spare tire out and the jacked it up, got the spare on, put the tire into the back seat with Joshua, it had like this long of a piece of metal sticking out of it. So the rest was all inside the tire. So we clearly ran over something. And then I just looked up on my phone the nearest tire repair place. And there was one that was like 2 miles from us. So we drove to there. It was Sunday, so luckily that place was open. We passed tons of tire places on the way, but all of them were closed because it was Sunday. So we found the one that was open. The guys there were great. They fit us in, replaced our tire. Good to go. And then we got back on the highway, kept driving. This was about an hour and a half to get the tire replaced and everything. Maybe an hour. I don't feel like it was an hour and a half. Yeah, probably an hour. So then we got back on the highway, and it was literally the next exit was the campground. So I was like, man, we almost made it. Jeez. So we got there, we got everything set up, and yeah, the kids were crazy. And I think we had less patience with them because, you know, my husband had been out changing the tire and it was already hot. And then the kids were impatient and naughty and not listening. And Joshua wanted to eat everything in sight. So he constantly was getting in the cooler, but we didn't have stuff that he wanted. So he would just be like, I'm going to go look in the warmer, because he calls it the warmer. And he couldn't find anything. So then like 30 minutes later, I'm going to go look in the warmer. I'm like, nothing changed. It's the same food in the cooler, which you didn't want. So I started going, do you want an apple? Do you want a tortilla? That is what is in there that isn't needing to be cooked. So anyway, we made food. He ate some of it. We had a terrible time falling asleep. I think it got down to 75, like at midnight or 1 a.m. when I woke up. 75 was the low, and it was very humid. So the next day, like, Joshua still wasn't listening, and I was like, we should just pack up and go home. This is awful. It's going to be even hotter today because it was supposed to be like 94. I think it was 89 the day before without, you know, heat index values. So it was going to be 94. So we just packed up while it was still cool in the morning, and we came home, and his behavior was so much better here. And we actually went, like, I was still really frustrated with like the food situation because he still kept asking for food and asking for food. So I went and got a bunch of food at the grocery store down the street. Got lots of different kinds of yogurt, fruits. I was going to get bread, but I couldn't find bread. So anyway, I got a lot of that stuff. I came back, I made him a smoothie with like full fat yogurt and stuff. And he ate like 3 helpings of it. And then of course said his stomach hurt. And he still didn't fall asleep until pretty late. And then this morning he woke up and said his stomach hurt, but then he was fine and ate some more. So I think he must be going through a growth spurt based on how much he wants to eat. And so I told my husband, we need to like get more stuff with additional fats or more fiber to make sure he's feeling like he's full, because he tends to just eat a ton of fruit, which isn't really like sticking with him. So then he's just constantly cycling fruit, and it's not that we're not offering him things, but he just doesn't tend to like what we're eating, which is frustrating. He has a very small range of foods that he wants to eat. I usually get him to try stuff at least, but yeah, it's a rough time right now. Megwin is a little bit more predictable. We know the things that she likes to eat, so we can, you know, keep her fed. But Joshua's going through one of those phases where he's very particular about what he will and won't eat. So anyway, we managed to get him fed. All is right with the world. I think that's pretty much everything that's been going on around here. Like, our tomatoes are doing amazingly well because they love hot, humid weather. So this is perfect for them. We have not harvested any yet, but there are a bunch on the vines and we're just waiting for them to ripen and get red. I think I planted like 3 types of like larger heirloom beefsteak type tomatoes, sandwichy tomatoes. I planted a couple of Roma tomatoes for more of sauce tomatoes, and then I planted a bunch of grape tomatoes. Pollinators attacking the windows. I planted a bunch of grape tomatoes just for the kids to pick and eat as they come on. So none of those have happened yet, but I expect them to soon. And then we'll have tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. As far as our food garden, which is that way, it's doing okay. This year we're really taking the time to just let it get established. We're not expecting to get anything really out of it. It's a permaculture garden. So we'll have to really like prune the fruit trees the way we want them to grow, but we can't do that until the fall. So right now we're just letting it grow and gain energy, help establish the root system. I think if there's anything else. Nope. I think that's it. So until next time, I hope you get to spend time doing the things that you love, and I will talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.